Welcome, everybody, to the Creature Cast, the official console creatures podcast. My name is David Petrangelo, and I'll be one of your hosts through this journey of all things video games. This week, it's myself and editor extraordinaire, Bobby. How are you, sir?
Can you say that intro 5 times fast without slipping?
No. I can maybe do it. As much as it may seem or potentially sound like we or I am a professional, I am not. So the answer is probably no.
Well, if Steve was here, I would make him try because unfortunately he's not here. So
Yes,
that's fine.
Steve's off having his shenanigans or whatever you want to call it. He's working, so it's all good. But I was hoping to get a little Oxenfree discussion with him. Steve, if you're listening, we gotta do a little bit of an ending Oxenfree 2 spoiler chat, either on the podcast or offline. We gotta sort of figure something out because very interested to talk to more people about that game, especially the way that it ends and the way that last sort of, I would say, third that he was getting to leads to. So yeah, we have a couple games to talk about, a couple new ones that dropped. Big review from Bobby that we'll get to in just 1 second. I want to start with something before we get to Pikmin 4, which I have lots of questions about, Bobby. I'm going to start with this because it's in the last, I would say, 5 days has been the game that I am starting my day with. It is another version of Wordle, but with no words. It's called Coffee Golf. It is just on your mobile devices, which already is like, oh, great, a mobile game, another one. Like, I'm not a big mobile gamer at all. I had Marvel Snap for a while. I have this, and kind of that's it. I don't do much on my phone as far as games go. I do have a new iPhone, so I will eventually get at least those first few months of Apple Arcade, which could be fun. So I'll dive into that eventually. But Coffee Golf is, you just open the app. It gives you 5 holes on this sort of small area, all in one like sort of island, I guess. 5 holes, and you can choose to shoot with a driver, a iron, and a putter, and get, like in golf, as few shots as you possibly can in the hole. And you can do the holes in whatever order you want. So you can start with the yellow one, or you can start with the red one, you start with the blue one. I believe there's 5 in each one, and it's a random assortment, a random layout of a golf course, I guess you could call it, and it tallies your score. It lets you quickly copy it, and you can post it on social media, or you can put it in a Discord or whatever, and that's it. And it just tells you what your total is. If you did well, it'll tell you that you're in the top 25% or in the top 50% or something, and it does it instantaneously. I'm sure later in the day you'll get more stats of, you're in the top 20, you're in the top 50 or something, but I just do it first thing in the morning, literally when I'm having coffee. It's very easy. It takes like 4 minutes maximum, and it's a really fun, slick looking game. I think the sound effects is very like simple and calming. It almost looks like the aesthetic of it, Bobby, is kind of cool because it looks like Hitman Go and Tomb Raider Go. I think was it Tomb Raider Go? Is that what it's called?
Yeah,
But Hitman Go, the sort of mobile game that Hitman was there, where it sort of looked like you were playing on like a little tabletop and stuff. That's kind of what it looks like and what it sounds like too, which I love the aesthetic of those games. They were so cool and so well done. So yeah, I recommend it. I mean, it's free. There's some ad supported stuff in there, but I honestly have played for 5 or 6 days and have not run into any microtransactions, any ads, any nothing. So maybe this is just a venture for free, and then they're going to expand and it's going to be a bigger thing. But right now, it's great. Log in, you download it, it's free. You play a thing. You can very easily copy your score and text it to a friend or put it on social media, and that's it. And then you're done. And then you close it and you open it up the next day. And it's fun. It's charming, and I highly recommend it. It's been a really good time so far. So that is Coffee Golf. Pass around your scores to your friends, everyone.
I'm looking at it right now. It looks very familiar. So, I mean, kind of reminds me of Kirby's Dream Course in a bit from like NES. Just because like the aesthetic and the way the isometric drop look is like, it looks cool. I'm looking at it right now.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks pretty good. The reviews are pretty positive. Everyone's saying it's a great way to start your morning. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm downloading it right now.
Seriously, like that's what I heard too. I was like, oh, it's going to be one of those, you know, games. I don't know if that's really my thing, and it ended up being my thing. You know, it's not like a standout, like, oh my god, this game's incredible, but just enough to get you through a few minutes in the morning or afternoon or whenever you have a few minutes. Every day the course changes, and then there you go, you reset, and that's it.
This looks
Yeah,
like a nice little um, appetizer to Apple Arcade because Apple Arcade's got What the Golf and What the Bat
yeah,
and
yep,
Ridiculous Fishing's on there now. And there's legitimately so many good games on Apple Arcade that people seem to overlook for whatever reason. But
yeah.
for
I have a
$5 a
distinct
month,
feeling.
it's really good.
Yeah, I have a distinct feeling I'm going to do that free, whatever it is, 1 to 3 months, whatever it comes with when you get one of the devices. That it's going to be one
Yeah.
of those things that I continue doing. I would say I'm scared about that, but I'm not. I think it's going to be one of those
It's
things, and that's
priced
fine. I want
well.
to play some.
That's the best
It
thing.
is
It's just
priced
it's
well. Yeah.
priced well. Like you have so many cool games. Like and that's just the top of the head. Like I've always loved Apple Arcade. Like you've got Slay the
Mm-hmm.
Spire on here. You've got Dead Cells you can play on your phone. There's a Ninja Turtles game that's pretty cool. There's an Avatar game that you can play. There's thousands of games. They're just readily available. You just hit get and it's on your phone instantaneously, pretty much.
Yeah. Love it.
And yeah, I mean, I'm just going through that right now. Like the Oregon Trail's on here. You can play
Oh,
SpongeBob,
nice.
Solitaire. You can play Ballistic Baseball.
Ooh, I've heard of that.
Grindstone's still pretty cool. Like Grindstone's probably one of my favorites that are still supported from Capybara. Like I love
Mm-hmm.
mobile games. It's just such a shame they give a bad rap that people seem to just like brush them aside. But
I think that's my problem is
yeah,
I kind of fall into that groove a little too often. I've been burned too much, and there's just far too many, you know, pay to win or microtransaction type
yeah,
of things. And I know that's where the money is, so that's why things go there. You know, and then there's all these copycats, and that puts a sour taste in my mouth. And I know, like you're saying, those games are not that, and neither is Coffee Golf, or at least not in the iteration that it is right now.
no,
So you know, that's great. If that it's sad that it's a pleasant surprise as opposed to that's the way things are. You know, like I wish that
that's
was just the way it
exactly what it
always
is.
was.
But
So
I yeah, if you do your 3 month trial, just yeah, I pretty much feel like you probably will subscribe. It's worth it
yeah.
for $5-6 a pop for a month.
Yeah,
Like
it
really,
says yeah, it says 3 months. I can do it until September. I have 3 months to put that in. So yeah, I think I'll probably go for it. So I'll talk about that in the fall. How about that? I'll get that going at the end of the summer, and that'll be something
right
that I
on.
do leading into the winter, and probably keep myself inside playing on my phone. So okay, Bobby, let's talk about Pikmin 4. I want to start asking you, Bobby, what is a Pikmin? Because who is Pikman? I know that's not how it's spelled, but um,
Pikmin,
I
Pikmin.
have very little experience with this franchise. I played the first one way back. A friend of mine had it, and I kind of remember playing it. And to me, every time I see trailers, every time people tell me about it, I'm like, oh yeah, that's Pikmin. It doesn't seem to me, as an outsider who hasn't really given it any time, so fair enough. It just seems like the same game over and over. It just looks better. I know that's not the case, but let's talk about Pikmin 4. What did you think about it?
So I mean, it's definitely the best. I'm going to say iteration. I'll stick with iteration. Like it is definitely the best version of Pikmin. To answer your question, what a Pikmin is, it's like a little
Yeah.
seed, little hybrid plant that's like I don't. It's hard to describe. They're like little plant animals, I guess. I don't know,
Yeah, they're
but
uh yeah, they're seeds that are alive with eyes and
they're like
legs.
intelligent, like little plants that you
Yeah.
basically command to do your bidding. So like there's geez, there's like about a dozen different varieties of Pikmin that you kind of explore throughout every game. And the basic premise is basically the same in every game. Like an explorer that crash lands on a planet like Earth, and because you're so small, everything's a lot bigger, right? So it's got like that Honey I
Mm-hmm.
Shrunk the Kids vibe, where a backyard looks like a jungle to you, so you're exploring like a backyard, and then you're going down a sewer into a cave that has a puzzle you got to solve, or an enemy you got to defeat. And as you're doing that, basically the older games would vary a bit, but the newer games you're going in the cave to find like a castaway or someone you've lost from your team that crash landed with you, and you're bringing them back to your ship to just restore them to health and let them do their job. So some guys like Russ might build your labs, so your labs where all your technology resides. So you could like go there and be like, Russ, I need something to prevent me from taking a lot of damage from enemies. So like he'll build you a better suit, or you're like, Russ, I need something that'll
Okay.
prevent me from taking ice damage from an ice breathing monster. So he'll build you like a thermal resistant suit.
Do you
And
have to go like gather these materials as one of those types of mechanics, like RPG mechanics? Like, oh, get me 5 of these and 5 of these, and I'll build it for you. That kind of idea.
it's kind of simple. So like there's like
Yeah.
one currency in Pikmin 4, so it's like a little diamond, and
Okay.
they're plentiful. So like you're finding them everywhere. So you just collect them, and as you need them, you can just basically use them to build bridges, or you can build parts for your ship, or you can. The basic thing is, yeah, basically you use these parts to build equipment for your team and for yourself to use on the field. And it's the loop is pretty addicting. Like you're every day, like you have
Yeah.
a 15-minute real time window where the day starts, and you got to go out and you'll explore
Oh,
like
it's real time. Okay.
it's an open, yeah, it's time. But older games had not only a time, so the older games had like a time limit, so it was a time limit plus you had a finite amount of days, so you could only do something like 30 days. But because people
Oh,
didn't really like
interesting.
that, the newer games kind of got rid of that, and it removed a lot of the tension the older games had, where it was just like, if you didn't do it by this day, game over. But now it's kind of like
Does
you just
does
have a
that feel
15-minute.
better, or does it feel better to have more freedom, less tension, or like how do you feel about that?
I think it makes more sense because, like, really, like,
Okay.
what happens in reality, like, you don't just like drop dead. Like, you're still exploring after your time limit in reality, right?
Yeah.
And how do you put this reality? I mean, it makes sense, kind of like, yeah, no, removing that overall time limit just gives you more flexibility to explore and take your time with it, because like
Hmm.
everyone doesn't explore the same. Like what I do in 15 minutes you probably do in a certain amount of time, compared to like something like, say, Steve was playing, like he might do it differently. Like it's just based on your play style. Like for me,
Right.
I like to explore every nook and cranny. I have to find every collectible.
Right.
I have to fight every enemy. And yeah, it's just different like that. But like it this is the first game that I think successfully hooked me, I should say,
Hmm.
because Pikmin 1 to 3, like I did like them, I played them, but it wasn't to the fourth game where it was just like, okay, now I know why Pikmin's such a beloved Nintendo series. Like I know why
Ah,
everyone always
okay.
is like, yeah, this is why it's so good. And that's just because they added quality of life things. Like they added a rewind feature, so like if you screw up and your Pikmin all die because they got eaten or they get squashed or they get some of them actually do explode, like you can make them explode, or
Like
they get
lemmings.
electrocuted. Yeah, like basically they're like multicolored lemmings, but
Yeah.
you can rewind the day, so you can go back like either to a certain checkpoint, you can go back to the beginning of the day and just save them. So
Oh,
it gives you the
interesting. Okay.
yeah, it gives you the flexibility to experiment and just kind of like rethink what you're doing. The whole thing behind Pikmin is Dendori, which is like making things as efficient as possible in what you're doing. So like there are like Dendori battles in the game where you have to do a bunch of challenges within a certain time limit, and that means like
Mm-hmm.
splitting up your different Pikmin teams to like one team will pick up like high value items, the other chunk of your team will fight enemies, and then the third party is collecting and digging up like more of those diamonds I'm talking about that you use to
Right.
collect things, and like it's a challenge, and that reflects into the gameplay. So you're basically uh, using that idea of Dendori to be efficient in what you're doing throughout your day of like whatever it is, like a 15-minute window. So you're trying to make sure that half your team is fighting enemies to clear out for the other half who's collecting items, and because every Pikmin's got a different color, they all have different roles. Like the red ones are stronger
Oh.
and they're resistant to fire. The blue ones can swim and they can go underwater, and the yellow can they deal with electricity, so you can use them to shock enemies, and so on
Mm.
and so forth. Like there's rock ones that are just strong that break diamond walls. There's a new one. It's an ice Pikmin that will freeze enemies on the spot that like help you control bigger, stronger enemies, so you can freeze them in the spot and just destroy them there. And it just goes like on that. So you got to basically plan for whatever your scenario. So if you go to like a level, it'll kind of suggest what three types of Pikmin you need for this level. So it might be like red,
Oh,
yellow,
okay.
blue, and you'll take whatever it is to them. So you can start with it starts with 10 and it just builds on it. So the further you get into the game, the more Pikmin you can bring with you.
Right.
And yeah, it's just a really cool loop. It's finding that loop where it's like I said, it's the accessibility loop. Like you can have the ability to rewind, you have the ability to kind of plan now, because before it was just a little bit more rigid. Like you had your Pikmin, you didn't have to really think of which ones you had to bring with you because the limits weren't there in place. So it was just kind of like it was a free for all. You can just show up to the level, just pick a bunch of Pikmin and go about your day. But
Oh, so the colors didn't matter previously?
basically, yeah, to put it that way,
Oh,
they didn't
okay.
matter as much. And the other big addition is Ochi, that little weird alien dog. I'm sure you've seen
Yeah,
him. Like
yeah, I have seen that. Yeah.
it's easily the best thing they've done
Really?
since series. Yeah, everyone's talking about this dog. Ochi is like the cutest little alien dog that does everything for you. He's essentially like the jack of all trades. He's like basically he starts out as a puppy. Within a couple of days he grows up, and as he grows he can learn to get stronger. So like as a puppy he can only pick up items in relation to 3 Pikmin. But if you
Okay.
start buffing him up and saving more of the castaways, you can unlock bonus points. So he'll go up to 5 Pikmin level 2, level 3. He emulates 10 Pikmin in strength, and you can max him
Oh,
up
cool.
to 100 Pikmin. So one Ochi can equate to 100 Pikmin grabbing
What?
an item and bringing it back to your level, to your spaceship.
And then I guess you
And
can use the Pikmin to do other things instead because now he's
exactly. So
taken
the
over that.
Pikmin, yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
exactly. So the Pikmin could be like fighting something while he's dragging it back. But
Gotcha.
you can also upgrade his chomp. You can also upgrade his swimming, so he can swim faster, dive underwater. He can jump. He has this ability to dig. So if you have like an item stuck in the sand, he'll dig it out for you. He can
Hmm.
heal. He's got so many. He's like a Swiss Army knife, basically. Like, he's solved a lot of problems that the older Pikmin games had, and he just kind of smooths out the gameplay to the point where it's just like, wow,
Yeah,
it's
I'm
it's
looking at him.
it's
He just looks like so. Just the look of it, even just watching the video, I'm just like, oh, this guy looks great. Like he just
He's the best
looks
thing. He's the best part about the game. Like he's legitimately like the
looks like
best thing you got.
a little peanut with a tail. Like he just like.
Exactly. And you can ride him. As soon as he gets bigger, you can start riding him on your back. You throw your Pikmin on
Amazing.
behind you, and like you just all move together as a unit. And like he's just so helpful. Anything you need, he'll do it for you. He is just like the best dog in any game.
It's so great. I could see this. I'm watching the overview trailer that Nintendo did. I think about a month or two ago. It was like one
Yep.
of the last like extended trailer things they had. Um, and yeah, and you're like just riding him, and there's like 50 Pikmin hanging off him at the same time. It just looks like they're all just sort of going for a ride. Like it just the
It's
visual of it alone.
it's amazing. Like I didn't expect how much of an improvement he would bring to the game, but like he makes it a lot more palatable. Like palatable. It's just for newcomers. I think it's probably the best entry point. It's very user friendly. It's very franchise friendly for newcomers. So like you don't have to really know
It's
anything.
good. Yeah.
Story's not really the bread and butter of the Pikmin games. It's the strategy and figuring out how to use the Pikmin to your ability and getting to the end. And
Is
you
this a
know,
first? I'm just looking at this trailer. Is this a first where you can go into houses and stuff? Has that always been? Like, I thought it was all like outdoors and whatever. Like
nope.
that.
It's always. It's I believe it's always been like that. I mean,
Oh,
every
I never recognized that at all. That visual is great. The game looks great. Game looks great. So
There's different things. So like you have like your outdoor levels, and then you'll find they're called caves, but they're called caverns inside the game. And basically, the caverns will take you to like the cellar of a home or the basement,
okay,
or you'll go to like a room in the house. Like, you're basically like a little thing inside a normal person's house, and you're just
right,
exploring like someone's room or something. It's
yeah,
always different. The biggest change I think is that Pikmin 4 used Unreal Engine. So I mean,
mm,
previous games I think were on a different game engine. So what you're seeing is the shift in game engines.
yeah. It's always looked smooth. It's always seemed very colorful and friendly and everything. But yeah, just looking at the visuals, just in the trailer alone, and some of the things that have been posted online, and everything, it's a fantastic looking game. Just getting my hands on it, that's why I wanted to hear about it, because it's just like, what do you like? Like these characters are picking up these little circles that have numbers on them. What are those, and why do you have to pick them up? And like, I know these are all sort of like mechanics within the game, so when you play, you'll figure it out. But I've always been curious, but it's one of those ones that I've never been like, I'm so curious that I need to pick this up. But based on what you're saying, and based on what some of the general consensus is this week, is that this game is pretty damn good. So I'm quite
It's
tempted.
fantastic. Yeah. So like anytime you see like a number, it's basically like if you throw your Pikmin at an enemy, it kind of gives you an idea of how many you need to defeat it. So you'll see like
Gotcha.
10. And as you
Hmm.
throw them there, you need 10 to really like kill it as fast as you can. But if you pick up like an item, it'll generally say like, hey, this item's too big, so you need like 5 guys to pick it up. Or if it's
Gotcha.
something like a shoe, it'll take like 10 guys. Or a pocket watch takes about 15 Pikmin to move it from where it is to your base. So it just depends on what the item is and what you're doing.
Gotcha. Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
mean,
the demo does a good job selling what the game is. I mean, that's kind of what
yeah,
I
that's right.
have heard. But yeah, it isn't until you get about 5-6 hours in and you kind of understand all the mechanics that it finally clicks. Because like the first tutorials kind of the tutorial does a good job. It's just kind of slow up until that point.
Right, right.
Then the second you finally get out without anybody saying what to do, it's just like, okay, this game's awesome. It's really really intuitive, and
So tell
it,
me, when you go to like these areas, even if it's inside, doesn't matter. Outside, inside, doesn't matter sort of what it is. Are these areas big that you're spending a couple of days or a couple of cycles or whatever, in this one area? Or are you kind of going to multiple areas within like an hour because you can? Like,
you
what's
can.
the
It's
does
really
it
your
take a
play
long
style.
time? Okay.
It depends on your play style. Right? Like for me, I'll spend a real hour in our time exploring um, one like
One
main
spot.
level.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like the first one's like the sun terrace. It's like the backyard of this person's house, and the areas are pretty big. Like
Yeah. Like, is
you
there's
can
enough
waste
freedom
15
there?
minutes
Yeah.
pretty
Okay.
quickly. So it's like, yeah,
Okay.
within that time frame, like you can do half of what's available, maybe even less. So it'll take like 3 or 4, or even 5 visits to get everything 100% right. Because your aim is to get 100% in every stage, getting all the collectibles,
Right.
finding all the secrets, and getting all the treasure back to your ship. Because you're basically all the treasure you're finding is fuel for your ship to get off the planet.
Okay. Gotcha. Gotcha.
So
Okay.
it's like a lemming slash how can we even describe it, like tower
It's
defense
hard to.
game. It's got everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad it's been good because Pikmin. I think there's, like you said, there's a lot of love for this series. Um, I just never got it because I never really dug into it, and it sounds like you were sort of in the same boat until 4 came along,
100%.
and it just it was a pleasant surprise. So that's good, man. I mean, that's fun. It seems like it's one of those Nintendo titles that did its job and did it well, and just another one of those. It's not a bad thing.
it,
It's nice to have.
it's a different experience from like the general Nintendo franchise like
Hmm.
Mario and stuff like that. So like I mean, if you want something in vein of those games, like this probably isn't it. But like if you want something with a little bit of strategy, where you it's it's a strategic game, but it's very chill, cozy game. Like there's
Right.
nothing really bringing the mood down. It's meant to be like a fun, lighthearted game, and
Yeah.
that is basically why I think this game excels. Is it doesn't take itself too seriously. Like it's all about joking around with your crew, and just like it's a very like childish game in the best way. It's not overly goofy. The jokes
No, but
land just because
it's friendly and stuff, right? Like
it's a
that's kind
friendly game.
of yeah, that's good. That's good. I mean, we need that. We need more of those, right? I think that that's a good thing. So,
I mean, what
yeah,
other game can you carry a massive Game Boy SP to your ship? Like,
and get rewarded for it. Yeah.
and get rewarded for it. Like, I found some really cool collectible. Like, you're finding stuff from like it's a cool little Easter egg where you can find like old like Game Boys and Nintendo systems,
Yeah,
and you
that's
just bring them
cool.
back to your ship, and like they're highly detailed, and you can just look at them after. But yeah, it's cool. It's a great little way to use your Switch at a time where people are wrapping up Breath or Tears of the Kingdom, and they're like, "What do I
Hmm.
play next?"
Right, right. Okay. Well, another one to sink your teeth into. That's great. So, on the complete opposite side of things, for me, I decided to give Exoprimal a bit of a go.
Yeah, I have that in my backlog. I'm actually gonna start playing it tonight because I have to do some impressions of it. So
There you go. Well,
surprisingly, I played the beta. I loved it. I know
okay.
it's obviously not like a prestige game, but it's a freaking cool little um what do we call it? What kind of game is this? Can we say like a Game Pass title? Is it like a little Game
um,
Pass?
It is a good Game Pass title. That's where I'm playing it. I didn't pull the trigger on buying it or anything. It popped up on Game Pass. You know, it's hard not to click go on something from Capcom nowadays that you especially don't have to pay full price for in this way, because they've been killing it with in the last few years. You know, like this year alone. Like, sure, the same team that made Street Fighter didn't make this game, but it doesn't matter. It still is coming from those minds and those people, and you know all of that stuff that comes with it. But yeah, I don't know what Exoprimal is. Honestly, to me, it feels like a mech suit shooter mixed with Overwatch, mixed with a World War Z zombie type of thing, but instead
Yep.
of zombies, it's dinosaurs. That's what it feels like. So in a way, that's a good thing for me personally. In a way, I found that to be cool, but in other ways, I found that to be very confusing. So essentially, what Exoprimal is there are, I want to say, 10 to 12 different exosuits, or you know, your character that you can customize goes in one of these suits. It wraps itself around you, and you become that giant robot essentially. There's a support class, there's assault classes, there's tank classes, and then there's a few of each at launch that you can play as, and a few that you can purchase or get through a battle pass. So you have a selection of at least 6 that you can do just for free, and that's great. So that's what I did. I cycled through a few of them, and then you're going on this battlefield where you are facing another team that is racing against the clock to kill a bunch of dinosaurs that are being thrown out of these warp portals by this giant AI that has taken over the world or space or wherever you are. Story doesn't really matter. I don't really know what's going on. And you have to race against the clock. And once you race against the clock, you get into this final stage area after you've killed a bunch of dinosaurs. And that final stage is essentially an escort mission like Overwatch, and more dinosaurs are being thrown at you, but now also the other team can see you on that map, and you can interact and kill each other and fight each other and
Mhm.
stuff. And whoever survives and counts down the clock and all that kind of stuff wins that match. Each one, I would say, takes about 15 minutes, which is pretty good timing. You know, similar to Overwatch. Every once in a while, you get a pretty short match depending on how things are balanced, but that's essentially what the game is. I don't know if you feel like you can still sort of piece together some of your thoughts on it during the early access stuff, Bobby. But for me, I like it, but I'm also don't know if it's going to have like a lasting effect on me. I don't know if you felt that way. You said you really loved it.
I
Um,
Yeah, I mean for the demo, like I think I spent like 3 hours with it, and like I did
Okay.
like it. It was just like, how is this going to translate to a full game? Because I mean, I can see that in the short term being really cool, but like, how do you
Yeah.
make this game last? Because like Capcom's really good at single player games, but multiplayer they've always struggled with. And I mean, look at Resident Evil Reverse. Like, it was delayed several times. By the time it came out, there was nobody playing it, and now they're doing Exoprimal, which has like a pretty cool premise. It's just like,
Hmm.
how are you going to support that user base? Because like even now, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people playing it, and
I
that's a
think
shame.
it launched pretty thin. I think that's part of the problem for me so
That's
far.
the problem. I think
Yeah.
the fact that Game Pass has it available is probably what's saving it right now. But
Hmm.
I don't know. I have to go back to it just because I've been playing Pikmin a lot and like Viewfinder, which is another game I think everyone needs to play. And
Right.
yeah, those are the two games that I've had a lot of like just hands-on time with right now. And then Exoprimal is primed on my system. I'm gonna play it probably, like I said, tonight. It's just, it doesn't seem like it's gonna last long. I hope it does because I mean I do like the idea with it. I do like the PV. I think, what is it, PVEVP? Is that what they're calling it? I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know.
pretty. Yeah, it's a mix of both, depending on where you are in the map and in the battle.
Yeah,
I guess you
so
could call it.
like that's a cool idea, but like I think they all should. I don't know. I mean, like I said, I just don't know if they had that before. If it was just PvP as well, like they would need a PvP strictly game where you
Yeah,
just fight others.
yeah, which they might have. The only thing about it is that, like, part of the issue I had with it, which for long term may become more of an issue, is, and sometimes this happens with PvP games. Some of the unlocks that you get for your suit or suits, because basically
Yep.
every you have an account level, which would be like, which would sort of help you get through a battle pass if you wanted to, or exo pass, I don't know what they call it. It's a battle pass. But then you also have
It's
individual
a battle.
levels for each. Yeah, you have individual levels for each suit, which I like that idea. I like the more that you play a class or a character, the more you unlock. I like that. I like feeling that experience, because then I can focus on something that I really feel is my thing.
Yeah.
And then I get rewarded for that. So I like that. And it's not just across the board. Um, some of the unlocks that you get give you like, oh, 5% increase in your healing, or 5% increase in your shield. Things like that, that if you are level 2 with that mech, and someone else even just a couple days later is now level 12, they're probably going to get better
Yep.
perks and higher perks, and put the, even if they've spent no money. Those types of things to me don't feel right, because either you want this to be a free to play game or you don't, and it feels like it's bumping its head against itself. I don't really know what that's about or why they want to do that. Like, there's even loot box type system in this as well. I don't know if you can buy any. It doesn't seem like it, or at least as far as I can tell. But every once in a while, I've opened like two or three of them. Like, oh, I got a really cool skin for the exosuit. Great, I'll take it. Right? Yes, you'll probably get more of them if you buy the battle pass. Fair enough. That's totally
That's all you
fine.
can ask for, really. I mean,
Yeah, that's all it should be, though. I don't know about these perk things are cool, but I don't think the problem with them is that, yes, it gives you a 5 or 10% here or there, or whatever the number is, right? But you can upgrade them, is where I find the issue to be. So you can put extra money into these individual perks for each individual exosuit that you have. And I think that's where it loses me a little bit as to why they made that decision, because it's like, okay, maybe customize your loadout, but don't make it so that anyone that has the exact same loadout that is double my level will be automatically better suited to survive a fight. I don't think that that's fair. I could be reading a little too far into it. I played probably 2 hours of it. I'll go back. I'll start playing some of the assault classes. I found that the support classes were pretty fun. One of them is very much like Mercy, and jumps up into the air, and you can float, and you can throw down healing things with a wand, and you can dive around, and all that stuff. It looks cool. The aesthetic is pretty interesting. Like I said, the story, I don't really get it, but fine, whatever. Um, Not really here for the story, and I hope that there's more stages, because right now I've played, I think, only 3 different stages, and one of them I've played I want to say 80% of the time. And I'm just like, it doesn't matter what side of the
Right.
map I start on. I still feel like I'm playing the same level over and over and over again. And that doesn't feel good. So, which is one of the reasons why I think it sort of launched a little bit thin, is that hopefully in the coming weeks or month, at least like sometime in the next month, they release a couple other stages. The amount of exosuits I think is fine for now, but we'll see if what the response is and how things are tailored, and if there's going to be balance changes. I don't really know. I can't really tell which one's strong, which one's not. But yeah, it's a fun dumb time. Why it's dinosaurs, I have no fucking idea. It just feels like it's
It's a tease.
dinosaurs.
It's a tease because people know because Capcom knows people want Dino Crisis,
I
and
guess.
what better way to tease them and not give it to them and then throw this game out?
Yeah, you can. I mean, you can make your own character look like, I don't know the name of the woman from Dino
Yeah,
Crisis with the red
I
hair and
saw that
everything.
people were making her,
Yeah, you
but
could 100% that the hairdo is in there. The suits kind of look somewhat similar from that. It's been ages since I played that series, but that's
exactly.
kind of, they're doing it on purpose, right? So I don't know, like these could be zombies and it would kind of be the same game. I think the raptors fall from the sky and there's like literally hundreds of them running at you, but I don't care that they're raptors, because after playing 2 rounds, I'm just like, oh, they're just things to shoot, and I just need to hit and shoot as many as I possibly can. So it kind of loses that shtick a little too quickly for me personally, but I can understand why it's satisfying. I can understand when you face larger dinosaurs and things like that, it can be pretty cool
Yeah.
because you're kind of like fighting a boss within a battle against another team. Like, that's interesting. So some of the mechanics are there and they work. I just, so far it's not a home run for me, and I'll put a couple more hours in and see how it goes, and report back if I'm still playing next week. So have a good
I
time with it,
mean,
Bobby. You know what? Go in and just, it's a good mindless fun. So
it it is better than Overwatch 2, which I'm seeing is like just like coming apart at the seams right now. And after seeing some of the news that came out today, I mean, yeah, it's just been tough.
yeah,
So I don't know.
I
Multiplayer
I
games
mentioned
are finny.
yeah, I mentioned Overwatch because there's part of some of the maps that you have to escort something, but I wouldn't say that it's the same
Yeah.
game. Yeah, there's classes and stuff, but if you like Overwatch, I guess you could like this, but it's not really tailored even towards the same audience as well. But I can
Oh
understand
God, no, it's not.
some of
It's
the
just
comparisons.
I'm just throwing shade at
No,
Overwatch just because
well, still,
it's
but it's still
imploding.
now,
It's imploding right now so bad.
which is unfortunate, man, because I love.
Everyone liked it at launch, and that's kind of throws me off because I was like I wanted to play it too, but then you were just saying like it's not enough to go back, and I was like, well, that's kind of
Yeah,
what I didn't want to hear because like
I
they
know.
promised so much and then we got nothing.
But for me, Exoprimal is fine for now. I will see if it is enough for me to stick with. Oh, the other thing that this is just this is a very personal thing for me as far as like how games feel, is this is why like games like Gears of War, I think, had such a, and even God of War have had
Yeah,
such a long lasting uh feel, and why like the axe in God of War feels so right, and why your gun in Gears of War feels so right, is things feel tactile. Like, it feels like you're making an impact when you shoot or hit something. And on
yeah,
this, part of the reason why these raptors and why these dinosaurs that are falling from the sky feel like they don't mean much is because I just feel like I'm spraying tiny little pellets as bullets, and these things are just falling, and I don't feel anything chunky. Some of the boss battles feel that way because you need to hit them in a certain way. Like the Triceratops, you can't hit them from the front, which makes sense. Hit them from the back. I get it. That feels like that because it takes a lot of hits and because it's big, and you need to sort of strategize around how to take it down and how to survive its hits and everything. But
right.
other than that, on average, it doesn't feel like it has that chunky feel that I think you might need from this. But that's a personal thing. Sometimes that doesn't matter to people, and sometimes it's not as big of a deal. But that feel is a little less than I would have hoped. So it's very okay. but it's also still very
Yeah.
fun and inventive. And something new and inventive is always a good thing for the industry, I think. So it can only be so bad. I wouldn't say it's a bad game. It's just not a home run yet for me, which I know I've said already. So I'm repeating myself. So we'll stop with it here.
No, that's fine. It makes sense. I mean, I think we just wanted to succeed, which is fair. I mean, I know
Yes,
I
I
do.
absolutely do. Yep. Yep. I want it to succeed for
Yep.
sure. I also want to mention one more. I got a little sort of story, I guess, to tell, sort of idea. Is that I spent some time with family that came into town to visit, and there was a few kids that were visiting, and my cousins brought a couple kids and stuff. It was sort of like a family event thing. And over the course of the week that they were visiting, I spent, I want to say, at least a couple hours playing with kids playing Minecraft on their iPads.
Oh wow.
And when was the last time you played Minecraft, Bobby?
Just like the regular version, it's been years, but yeah,
Just
I
any version,
know.
yeah. All right, I guess you
I
guys
know.
played, yeah.
Well, I played Minecraft Legends recently. Like, so I
Yes,
mean, I'm kind of familiar, but like Minecraft just stock, no. It's been a
yeah,
long
exactly.
time.
Yeah, so the last time I played Minecraft was when it was still in its own sort of browser version before, I think this was even before or just as Microsoft purchased it. So that's how long it's been for me. I think what did Minecraft just hit 12 years or 15 years since its initial release or something crazy
Yeah,
like that. So it's essentially been that long. I played it with my brother and we had like a server, and this was like days when I didn't, we didn't really understand how to use the servers. So people would come in and they'd bust their shit up, and it would be like, oh, this is frustrating. But we wanted to play the what is it, build mode, where you can just do whatever you want. We wanted to play it with the zombies. We wanted to play it with, some threat involved, with the day night cycle, all those types of
yeah,
things. So that's what we wanted to do. And then people would come in and wreck our shit. And we'd be like, well, this is frustrating. Anyways, his kids are playing it um, just on their iPads because that's just what they have and it's easy to travel with and stuff. Makes sense. And they're just playing the free mode where they can just do whatever they want. So
yeah.
you get all the items, you can spawn any animals you want. Nothing is really threatening unless you like decide to light yourself on fire or whatever. It doesn't really matter if you do, you'll stop being lit on fire. Um, and it's just it's not that Minecraft itself to me feels drastically different to me from what I remember from this, sort of base version of Minecraft. It feels very similar. You got the blocks, you got different kinds. There was
Right,
no crafting going on here because everything's just sort of given to you. So I didn't really get that feel of it, the sort of work that's involved to get certain types of items and things like that. All of that stuff was not part of the experience, but I
right.
was helping them build what they were calling houses and basements and castles and places to put their animals and the little things like that. And these kids are hooked on just plain digital Lego, essentially. And I don't mean hooked as in like, oh, they can't put it down and it's a terrible thing. I was just actually kind of amazed that this at a young age. I mean, they're young. They're not here sitting and playing Xboxes or on a PC or anything. They're all under the age of 10, so they're all pretty. They're all under the age of 8, actually, so they're all pretty young.
Yeah,
But this is their experience playing games right now, and they love it. They love that they can create anything that they want in any way, and they can break it down, or they can move it, or they can use different colors. They can build stairs or not build stairs. They can float into the sky and make a tower that is as big as the level will let you go. And then they press one of the buttons where it doesn't let you fly anymore. And then they just plummet to the ground and nothing happens. And it's just fun to see that.
right.
Um, so the sort of like amazement that kids have with Minecraft is kind of my story here is that I was
It
amazed that they're so amazed.
they barely scratch the surface of what Minecraft can do, and like that's what blows my mind is like those who stick with it end up making like these crazy worlds. So it's like that's what
Yeah.
I like about Minecraft is when you see like someone who recreated like the whole realm of like Game of Thrones or like
Yeah.
someone's recreated like the Temple of Time from Legend of Zelda. And it's like that's what I care about from Minecraft because that's what I think is probably the coolest thing about it is right. it's what people can build with it. It's not really the gameplay itself. It's like, what are you guys doing with it? And then when you have like that 4K RTX stuff thrown into Minecraft, it's like, wow.
Yes. That I really want to see that actually, see what that looks like. Yeah. I
That's what
mean,
I've
and
always like. That's what Minecraft has always been to me. It's just like the
yeah.
building aspects, and that's kind of why if you ever play Dragon Quest Builders, you'll probably fall in love with it because it's basically that
Okay.
times 10. It's such a great game. Specifically, Dragon Quest Builders 2. It's like the perfect mix of Minecraft with like RPG slash action.
That's
But
nice. That's
yeah,
cool. Yeah, because gives you a little bit more depth and stuff like that, or at least a depth in a different way. It's not like Minecraft's not deep, because it is, right? You'd be able to sort of make
it's deep
things or
if you
whatever.
want it
Yeah.
to be, or it's basically a
Right.
game where it is what you want it to be. Like if you want to just to like you
Yeah.
said, build like a house and like store your chickens, you can do that. If you want to like build a city, and like it's not even that. Like there are people who like I've seen create mathematical equations that actually work in the game.
Yes. Oh my God. I I was thinking about that too. When these kids are making this, I'm like, are you going to be the ones that do that in a couple years? And not even like realize
Yeah,
that that's incredibly incredible. Like,
it's like the things you can do with it. It's like this is like it's evolved from just a game anymore. It's like a tool
yeah,
that
yeah,
does a
yeah.
lot.
Right.
Like you can throw code into there and it can code whatever you're doing and like output it into something tangible. That's so cool.
It's
And
great that
that's
they
why I
allow that
think
to
like
happen too.
Minecraft
I
is like
think.
something they should be teaching in schools.
Yeah. Well, you can, and
100%.
that's the thing,
That's
right?
why it's
It's
critical.
like, yeah, I kept thinking like, oh yeah, this is digital Lego. It's not like or building blocks, right? That's kind of what it feels like, right? So, but there's so much more you can do with it than just picking up a piece of plastic or piece of wood like we used to at their age and put that together. And look, you don't want to have kids in front of a screen necessarily for 15 hours a day. Go to school and spend your day in front of a screen and then come home and play the game all day. I get it. There's
No,
there's
100%.
restrictions. Whatever. We're not here to sort of tell you how to parent your kids or whatever. It's not the point. The point is
No.
that the opportunity is there and they keep that alive. And you're right. It's like the creativity of it is cool. Cause even like simple things like they're young, they're only playing on an iPad. They're not going to do all these like really deep things that you're mentioning, which are obviously very impressive. But even little things like, the other day I helped them build one of these houses that we built over the course of a week and stuff.
Yep.
It's nothing big and fancy, but I was like, ooh, I'm going to make stairs. I'm going to put a door. I'm going to put windows. I'm going to put some lights up. I'm going to show them sort of like all the things that you do that can, quote unquote, look like a house as opposed to what, a kid is probably going to do at that age and just make big blocks and big squares and whatever. Right. And and then he goes, one of his kids goes, let's build a basement. I said, okay, go ahead, dig away, make it as big as you want, and I'll help you do other things after. So I went away and had a coffee or whatever, had lunch or something like that. And I came back, and not only did he build a basement, but he connected that basement to another basement that they had from their house on another
Yeah.
part of the map. And he lit it up with all the torches and stuff. He's like, look, I can connect. I'll never get wet because I'm inside and I can go from this house to this house and this house. And I'm just like, that's great. It's so cool to see that little bit. I know you're just pressing the digital joystick and tapping on the screen. I know it's not like super complicated, but he had an idea and it expanded from that, and I think that's really cool and a lot of fun. And I haven't played Minecraft in over a decade, and this was my awakening into Minecraft because when I was playing it and we were playing it, it sounds like the original kind anyway. It was not what it is now, and it's really cool that it's still kicking and is still pretty much the biggest game in the world. So I can see
Yeah.
kind of why, because it's so accessible. So there you go.
And like I don't even know how to begin to like approach Roblox because I know that's something similar.
Right,
Because it's
right.
like like I don't even know what to say about that game, but
I honestly, I don't even know how to talk. I don't know how to talk about it because I barely even understand what it is. We're the olds now, man. We can't talk about Roblox. Come on.
I
It's
know. But like I hear how impressive it is and like how people love it. So I don't know.
yeah, right.
I should
Yeah.
eventually check it out because I know that it's something for everybody. I guess. I mean, I've heard it's for everybody. I mean, I could be wrong, but I know there's like a Sonic, whatever. I don't even know how to approach it. Like I know there's a Sonic mini game in there.
Well, I mean, those types of things are a little bit problematic as well, right? So it's kind of like, well, do I play that or support that when they're just ripping people off? You know what I mean? Like I feel that's how I feel about those parts of it. As far as anything outside of that's all I know about Roblox. So I have no idea. I don't know. I don't even know how to talk about it.
Yeah, me neither. Me neither.
we're,
But whatever.
we're not the people to talk about it, clearly.
Not yet.
um,
Nope.
all right, so we'll have more to talk about next week. We'll have some new games to chat about as well. But Bobby, until that time, we have some like we have lots of places that people can kind of keep up with us. Did I see that Console Creatures is also on the other social media app, as people call it, or do people still call it that? I don't know. I'm kind of behind the
I don't
times.
even know anymore. I've lost count of who's what and what's what, and
Yeah,
I don't know. I'm just joining whatever is thrown at my way, and
yeah, that's fair.
yeah, no, we're on everything now. We're on Blue Sky now. We're on Threads. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're on what else is there? Messenger. We're on
I mean,
Facebook. We're on
I mean, I guess YouTube as well, but it's not really social media. But yeah,
YouTube. Yeah,
um, yeah. I mean, YouTube's got videos of some of the previews, like Gunbrella I just played a few days ago and put
which
some
looks
of my video
awesome.
up there. Yeah, it looks really cool. If you want to watch 15 minutes of like crazy gameplay of this like grungy world and cultists and a gun that fires out of an umbrella, give it a shot. Take you 15 minutes to watch some of my gameplay and then read my preview on the website as well. But YouTube has stuff like that. We also put the video version of this podcast up there and stuff. But as far as social media goes, yeah, it seems like we're kind of everywhere. And hey, whatever sticks. We'll see how it feels like we talk about this at least once a month. For now, we'll just see what sticks, and we'll just keep going with the. I don't even know if there's a flow because it feels like it's the opposite of flow. It's just whatever's there, just grab it and give it a
I
shot.
just
I
I
don't know.
just stick with whatever at this point. Like Twitter's just like I don't know.
Yeah,
It's not fun anymore. I don't like using it, but it's a
but
necessary.
if you're there, we're there. So,
Basically, yeah, I'm where the
yeah.
people are, and it looks like people have a hard time breaking away from Twitter.
Yes. Well, it's so established and everything. Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's it, Bobby. We'll let everybody go, and until next time, enjoy your games for the next week, everybody. Bobby, you too. We'll
Yep.
talk to you soon. Ciao, everyone.